Well, thank you everyone for joining us this evening and weathering the cold. And I apologize for the delay at our food truck, but Jewel will be here until 9 o'clock this evening. So if you haven't had an opportunity to get something to eat, please do. Or if you want to take a moment and go out and place your order and come back in where it's warm, do that as well. But I want to welcome everybody to what I believe is our inaugural State of the City address. Just a few things before we start the program. We do have bottles of water at the back of the room if anybody needs one. There will be opportunities for questions after the presentations. So if there's anything that you want to know a little bit more about, we have the council members here and the staff as well that can answer some questions. I'm sorry, oh, you can't hear us? Okay, can y'all hear any better? Okay. Okay, everybody talk real close to the mic. And so with that, I will turn it over. Well, I guess I'll introduce myself first. For those of you I have not met, I am Candace Edmondson. I am the city manager of Richland Hills, and it's been an honor and a pleasure for me to serve this beautiful community for the past 3 years. So thank you very much for that opportunity. And with that, I will turn it over now to our Honorable Mayor, Edward Lopez, who's going to tell us a little bit about the state of Richland Hills, where we have come from and where we are right now.
Thank you, Candace. Is that close enough? Can y'all hear in the back? Yeah. Yeah, it's making noise. Yeah. Well, on the website, it's stated that this was going to be similar to the State of the Union address.
Just a little bit. Just tell them.
How's that? Is that better? Okay. Now I just got to refocus my eyes. Well, good evening. Welcome to our State of the City address. As a lifelong resident, this is very difficult here. Yeah. Is this better? Not as loud to me, but y'all can hear it out there?
Not any better.
No. Is that better? No, where's that?
Yeah. See if that works better everywhere.
How's that?
Just hold it.
Okay, I think I'm going to hold this. All right. Hope this works out. Somebody let me know if I pull away and you can't hear me any longer. All right. Well, good evening and welcome to our State of the City address. As a lifelong resident of this area, I've seen Richland Hills go through many transitions, and our current phase is one of the most exciting yet. Today, Richland Hills is financially stronger and more prosperous than it's ever been, bolstered by a strong commercial base, excellent school district, and ideal location. Richland Hills is the perfect place to call home. Your city council has a vision for this community. The vision prioritizes quality service, safe neighborhoods, social connection, and progressive development. Tonight, you will hear more about the strategic priorities and important initiatives planned for this year. But first, let's take a look at the current state of our great city. Richland Hills has a considerable growth in our property and sales tax revenue over the past decade, bolstered by increasing property values and a rising commercial tax-based revenue has grown by 57% since 2013. Property tax revenue has increased by $1.65 million in that time frame, totaling $3.84 million for fiscal year 2022.
They're not finding.
We have seen even more growth in our sales tax revenue with $5.83 increase in since 2013, and in fiscal year 2022, sales tax revenue totaled $8.58 million, making it the largest revenue source for the city. On average, 50 new businesses move into Richland Hills each year. While not all of those businesses end up staying in our community, it is evidence that companies are attracted to our location and industrial-friendly properties, which contributes to the continued growth in sales tax revenue. The general fund reserve has also been increasing during that time, allowing the city to fund additional one-time projects and special initiatives. This year, the City Council created a strategic initiative fund to capture excess general fund reserves and reallocate them towards a specific initiative during the annual budget process. As you can see, Richland Hills is in a very strong financial position today. Our financial strength has allowed the city to dedicate additional resources to improving services delivery and expanding opportunities to the community. When we talk about safety and security, we immediately think about our police and fire department. Last year, Richland Hills celebrated the opening of our new fire station and renovated law enforcement center, bringing state-of-the-art technology and equipment to our public safety services. In addition, the fire department improved their ISO rating from a Class 4 to a Class 2, the second best rating a community can receive. The department has also created dedicated fire marshal emergency management coordinator position to oversee emergency management and fire investigation inspection duties. In 2019, a new fire engine was put into service, and the department's new ambulance should arrive in February. Chief Shelley, also particularly proud of the 25-plus commercial buildings that have installed new fire suppression systems since 2017. The Richland Hills Police Department fulfilled a long time ago when they achieved status as a accredited Texas law enforcement agency in 2019. The accreditation acknowledges the police department's compliance with 170 law enforcement best practices is considered the gold standard for law enforcement agencies. The department increased their community engagement efforts through a program like Neighborhood Crime Watch, Citizens Police Academy, and Capture, Citizens and Police Together, utilizing resource evidence. A dedicated crime scene unit was created with the donation of a van from Haltom City, enhancing the department's ability to thoroughly investigate crime scenes. Over the last 5 years, a proactive police efforts have dramatically increased, resulting in more crime-related arrests, search warrants, seizures, and cases filed with the district attorney's office. When you think about essential city services, public safety is top of mind, but equally important is public utilities and infrastructure. After a steady decline in our utility fund, that's 2016 and 17, where we had declines. A recovery slowly progressive since 2019. Around that time, the city took action to get all 3 well sites fully operational and started producing more water than it was purchasing from Fort Worth. The result has been more efficient and cost-effective utility system. It is no secret that the city's infrastructure is aging in many areas in need of replacement. A capital improvement program was developed in 2019, combining a previous wastewater evaluation from 2014 and pavement management study from 2017. With that data in hand, the city had been allocating funds each year to the repair and replacement of water, sanitary sewer mains. In the last 5 years, almost 25,000 linear feet of water and sewer mains have been replaced. Some of the projects have been funded in partnership with Tarrant County through the Community Development Block Grant Program. In addition, the city is currently evaluating the condition of all above-ground utility infrastructure, well sites, pumps, houses, etc., with plans to create a capital improvement program to guide future infrastructure replacement projects. In November 2018, Richland Hills voters approved proposition to reallocate 3/8-cent sales tax to repair, maintain, and rebuild local streets and sidewalks. The first allocation of this dedicated street sales tax was allocated in July 2019. Since that time, the city has completed 10 street reconstruction projects, including the replacement of underground utilities as needed. An estimated $1.3 million in sales tax is collected annually in the dedicated street improvement fund. That allocation will continue to grow as sales tax revenues increase. The list of completed street improvement projects will be presented later in this evening. With safety and security and basic city services firmly in hand, the city can focus providing additional quality of life services to a community. In 2017, Richland Hills opened the Link Event and Recreation Center, expanding fitness, recreation, and special event opportunities to our citizens. This past year, Link revenues reached $550,000 and the highest revenue total since the facility opened 5 years ago. On average, the Link serves 312 members per year, hosts 450 rentals in its community rooms, and in fiscal 2022, an estimated 4,300 individuals participated in Link programs and 2,500 people attended our special events. Each year, Link staff strive to create unique recreational opportunities to entertain the entire family. From senior trips to holiday camps, personal training, to youth sports, leagues, the league offers something for everyone. In 2021, Richland Hills Public Library started Metro Share Library Consortium, serving the communities of Haltom City, Watauga, Benbrook, Haslett, Roanoke, Forest Hill, Burleson, Saginaw, Decatur, Keller, and us, Richland Hills. The collaboration increases the number of resources available to participating libraries and enhances library services to our residents, with a focus on providing educational and literary services to the entire community. The library offers over 100 free programs per year, including 1,000 books before kindergarten, an adult literary book club, free tax preparation services, a robust summer reading program, delivery services to homebound citizens, and more. That's just a part of it. I could go on all night about the wonderful things, and I've never said a bad thing about Richland Hills. It just won't come out of my mouth because I'm just so proud to be part of this city and honored to be your mayor. But now we're going to turn it over to my fellow council members to talk more specifically about what you'll see next year. And that would be your Mayor Pro Tem, Curtis Bergdahl, to give a 2023 overview.
Thanks, Mayor. See if this will work so I don't have to hold it. Can y'all hear me okay? Okay, good deal. I'm Curtis Bergdahl. I'm your Mayor Pro Tem. We've been living here for about 12 years. My wife's here in the audience tonight, so I'm on my last term of, or 6 years if we get reelected every time, so 3 two-year terms, so I'm a lame duck or whatever, but looks like next May you'll get a new council member in my place. So anyway, I'm real proud to be your mayor pro tem for the city, and if y'all don't know what that is, I just serve as the mayor if he's not able to attend meetings, council meeting, that kind of thing. So I'm not in official duty until he's gone, so that's it. So a lot of people don't know. All right, so my presentation is on fiscal year 2023 overview. First thing to talk about is our tax rate. It went down last year, and it's 0.5388. There's some more numbers after that too, but our tax rate reduced by 3.5% last year, which is a pretty good deal. A lot of cities are going up, and we're able to bring it down for you. And for the budget this next year, projected revenues, so property tax revenues increased by 11%, which is equal to $331,714. That's a lot. That's a lot to bring back into the city. Sales tax revenues went up by 35%, which is about $1.5 million. So, $1.2 million. So, roughly $1.5 million. Our taxes increased as far as revenue for us without raising your taxes. So that's a real big deal for the city. Fiscal year 2023 focus areas, infrastructure improvements. I know underground utilities aren't pretty. They're not pretty like parks or things that you can see all over the place, but they're necessary to keep your water and sewer running. And we've fallen behind over the years, but we're really now putting a lot more money into those funds, and we're going to look to increase those funds further in the future. I think Doug will be touching on that in a little while. Capital investments, we're doing really well. We have a really good finance director here with our city that's done an excellent job of tending our funds and making sure that everything's getting invested well so we don't lose money like a lot of people's investments have this last year. Community engagement, that's a big deal. I think GW is going to be speaking on that in a little while. And economic development, I'll be speaking on that as well later too. But those are our 4 focus areas. So infrastructure improvements, annual street improvement projects. We'll have those that we can talk about here in just a little while to tell you what's happening this next year and what our vision is for the future. Water and wastewater system improvements. We actually hired a contractor this last year to go out and make these emergency repairs, but due to city staff being built up now in our operations group, they're able to go out and do most of that work without spending a higher dollar amount for outside contractors, and that's a big deal for us as well. Water meter replacement and enhancement AMI technology. So we're going to get all new meters throughout the city so we get better reads. That was a big investment, but it's also not that far off from the old type of meter. But this way you don't have to have people going out all over the city to read meters, and it'll all be done electronically. Another project that we have are the backlit street signs along Baker Boulevard. We're excited about that because that really, it gives you a corridor where you can see where you're going and people remember it a lot better. And if you've seen some of the signs, they're a couple of generations back on the logos, if you can even see them. So this is going to be an awesome deal. That's being paid for by TIF funds. And if y'all don't know what that is, it's a tax increment fund that's collected so that you can pay for certain portions of the city that you've set for those funds. It can't be used everywhere. Capital investments this next year, Animal Services Center renovation. So there are quite a few things that have had to go on to keep this up to date. There's some drainage issues out there, but the city's investing quite a bit of money to make that all better because it's a great facility. It just needs to be kept in better condition, and it's coming. So continued park development, we're working on the restrooms and playground facilities. We expect that to happen this year and the following year. I think we have 2 or 3 years before we're done with all this. New public works facility fence. Out there, it's going to be a masonry fence, so it will block the view in there which makes it look a lot better when you drive down roof snow as well too. So it's not just a chain link fence out there. Needs assessment for and design for fire administration building and public works facilities. So just right outside down the street there, that building needs to be repurposed so we can use it for other staff or whatever we want to do, but we need to look at a needs assessment on that to see if it's a worthwhile operation or not. So the public works facility, there's not enough room over there. They're just kind of crammed in there, so that needs to be looked at as well. So we're going to look at that for future expenditures. Broadband expansion, that's for our parks, so that we have internet capability in our parks, so for cameras and your cell phones, those kind of things, and as well as the Link Plaza, just right outside, so that you can have the same kind of broadband. That's all being paid for by the American Rescue Plan Act that was put out from COVID. So cities all over this country got lots of money, and we did too. We got a lot of money, so we're going to spend that money wisely, and that's part of our plan. City Hall improvements, one thing is audio video. If you've ever tried to watch a council meeting and you get the screen changing all the time, that's going to be changed. We're going to get that repaired so you can watch the council meeting and understand without missing parts of it. It's frustrating, I know. Want to recarpet the building as well. It's in need. Community engagement, new brand identity, that's going to be discussed in a little while. New website's going to be discussed in a little while. I think you'll see some of that tonight. So, community notification tools, Everbridge or Nixle, which some people have, we're going to upgrade that system with our new Everbridge app. So get information out better. I think everybody, or a lot of people, got notified about this meeting, which is a really great thing. So whether it's a storm or something like this or a road closure, we can get them information out to people almost immediately. Social media, you'll see a better platform where you'll get more information, up to the minute information after meetings, that kind of thing too. So I know that our city manager has worked hard to try to get information out about the results of council meetings so that you hear what exactly happened. And if you have any questions, you can also contact city staff or any one of us. We're always willing to take the phone. We'll put out a newsletter. The newsletter needs to come back on a regular basis, and I don't know if it's going to be mailed or if it's going to be online, but that'll be determined, I suppose. And this is all about transparency. It's, so many people think that the cities are not transparent. Oh, they're hiding this from us or that. I mean, I've worked in city government for 41 years. I know what you all feel, and a lot of people feel that, but we're here to be transparent tonight for this first meeting like this. I've been on council, like I say, this is my 6th year, and we've never done anything like this. So I applaud the management of our city for doing such a great job to move us forward. Citizen survey is coming out in December, so you'll have an opportunity to talk about what some of your needs are that aren't getting met, or maybe that they are getting met. Some kudos here or there, or just, things that we'd like to see a little bit better. The comprehensive plan update is another item to talk about, and so it establishes the vision and goals for the future of a community. It also provides recommendations and how land should be utilized to meet the needs and desires of the community. Living, breathing document. That's what that is. Everybody, most cities that are progressing forward, they change their document every few years just so that you can see that you're working with the current age groups of the city, or the economic background of the city, all kinds of things that fit better for what we have right now. When we moved here 12 years ago, it was much different than it is today. So it's time, and it's been quite a few years, since 2014, since the last comprehensive plan was done. And that's really probably a little bit too long, but it's getting done. So that's in our budget for this next year. It guides the public policy on transportation, utilities, land use, recreation, and housing. So why update the comprehensive plan? I think I kind of went over that. So anyway, the city is going to send out an RFQ, or send out a notice for an RFQ for many different companies that provide those kind of documents and can perform that service for us. There are a lot out there. Some are good, some are just cookie cutter. So we want to get somebody that's going to be good quality, that our city vets out to find out will provide the best service for us to move forward in the future with what we have. It also helps with the changes in state laws, the zoning techniques, approaches, and definitions may not be reflected in older plans. So some of the things that are in our comprehensive plan are out of date. They don't fit what our vision is right now. Updates may need to be made to attract and support desired development. That's a real important thing too, because we saw a company move in, or they're moving in right now, coming in from California, leaving that place. They have a lot of regulations there, but they found Richland Hills was the place to be because of all the highways, the airports, those kind of things, the transportation in this area. So they're moving their whole California operation to Texas, and they do a great job of making supplements for people to take all over the country, which I enjoy them too. So it's a real win for this city and for that company as well too, but they picked us because of how we have all these highways situated around and just the access to us. The Richland Hills Comprehensive Plan, as I said, was adopted in 2014. It is budgeted for this next year, for the fiscal year 2023 budget, to redo that. And I already talked about the RFQs, and I want to open this up if you all have any questions for me. Well, that's what the RFQ for. That's a request for qualifications, so that you might get 5 or 6 or 10 different companies that are going to say, hey, we can do this for you. It's called Anything Liquid. Right. It was a pretty neat deal for them to pick us, and we just felt real good about it. And anyway, we've seen a lot of growth in those areas, and I'll talk about that a little bit later when we talk about economic development. That's going to be over on the east side of Hanley, Eaterville, in the industrial area over there. So it's kind of a nice thing that we have the industrial area, warehouse and distribution, all in those areas, so they're not in the bedroom areas. You know, a lot of cities have that mixed all over, and that's not the best thing. So it just doesn't feel like more of a home. So we're kind of lucky to be situated the way we are. Yes?
Do we know how much of the comprehensive plan from 2014 has already been implemented? I know you might not know that answer off the top. I mean, I'm not sure if we know or not. Has it, what percentage or part of it, or can we repurpose some of the plan for our 2023 plan?
Well, I would think some of the plan will still stay intact, but then, when we look at Glenview as a corridor study to do over there too, that's not part of the original comprehensive plan, I don't believe. Anyway, I've read it, and a lot of people think, well, that's the way it was written, that's the way you have to do it. But if you read on the first page, it's a dynamic type of document that can be changed. I'm sorry, what?
I think Glenview was part of the plan.
Okay. So we've got some ideas of how we want to do that over there, and, that are going to fit well. Well, we work for y'all because we're supposed to be your voice, and that's what we try to do. So we're trying to do things that will benefit you all as a city. Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Burkle.
You're welcome. Thank you, Ms. Reddy. All right, I'll turn this over to Douglas Knowlton, one of our other city council members. Put that on your right.
Hi, everyone. My name's Doug Knowlton. I'm your city councilman, place number 1. And I have been there this is my 2nd term. And it's been my honor to serve you in this city. I have lived in this city since the 1960s, so that kind of tells you the love that I have for this city. I really do. My presentation is gonna be on the infrastructure of this, or what we're trying to do in the infrastructure in our street. Our street, part of the, infrastructure, I guess the mayor touched on it. In 2018, there was a vote of, starting a fund for the street improvement in Richland Hills. And we have kind of improved that and went away from just street improvement. We came up with, if we're gonna fix it, let's fix it right. And so we decided not just to do just the street. Let's do the under the street too, so that when you put in a new street, you're not there 6 months later digging it up, repairing. So that's the direction that we're trying to go. The continuation of the annual street improvement fund through the street improvement fund. So sales tax based fund, as the mayor pointed out, dedicated to the repair and maintenance and rehabilitation of streets and sidewalks. So we carried it a little bit further and went under the street also with part of the infrastructure. Since 2010, there has been 10 streets reconstructed in Richland Hills. Levon from the 64 to 6500 block, Vance Road for Boulevard 26 to Dover, Midway Road completely, Landy Lane from the 3600 block, Chafin the 3600 block, Vance Road to Dover to Baker, Rosebud Lane, Pine Park to Levon, Dreven, that's because of the new school being put in over there. That was one of the partnerships with Tarrant County. Magnolia, that's one of the ones that we're starting redoing right now. It's from Mimosa to Scruggs, and roof snow from Park Place to Baker to enable our fire equipment and the city equipment to be able to move out safely. The 2023 street projects construction is going to be just one major street this year because of the cost that it's going to involve in building is Dover Lane from Scruggs to Vance Road. The design and construction of Norton from Richland to Evergreen will be part of it, and the design of a new phase of Magnolia from Rosebud to Magnolia. We're going to complete out Magnolia Street. All right, as you can see, this is one of the slides that I really wanted to show you. Is this the project? Everybody says, well, you're not doing anything. Well, our budget is somewhere around $1.4 million a year. And you can see by the projected cost of each street where that money is going. Some streets are more because we're actually doing more, like Magnolia. We had to go in and not only just pave it, but we had to do the drainage, water, and the sewer lines. So they're all new under there, so there shouldn't be problems in the near future with them. And that's the whole idea with what we're trying to do is we're trying to do it where we don't have to go back and redo it. And so as you can see, there is a cost in all of this that we do. Our water system improvement, Richland Hills is set to receive approximately 1.9 to 2 million in fiscal refund, recovery fund from the American Rescue Plan Act. Funding must be obligated by December of 2024 and completed by December of 2026. The city is planning to spend an estimated $1.5 million in water system improvement. Everybody remembers the freeze that we had. Then our water system went down because the power went down. After the 2021 winter storm, the state of Texas legislature passed Bill number 3 requiring systems to maintain 20 PSI pressure. All right, so how are you gonna do that? You're gonna have to have, if power goes out, we gotta have power to the wells. So we're bringing in our emergency generator build up at each pump station to provide that power so that we don't have that problem again. We got that 24-hour backup for our generators. Say the water improvement, the water system improvements is, as you can see, is this distribution, where an auxiliary plant will go on each one of these wells to keep our wells going if we lose our commercial power. Wastewater system improvement, replacement of wastewater mains from 2000 block of Fur Park, part of the Tarrant County Community Development Block Grant Program. We're part of that. Water meter replacement, is Mr. Bergenthal touched on, is we're replacing approximately 3,100 existing mechanical meters in the city. The new with new ultrasound meters, the additional cellular endpoints on the new existing meters, so that you don't have to have somebody go drive the streets anymore or mechanically or physically read meters anymore. The replacement of the drainage meter, you've got to replace some of the boxes because the meter system that's coming in won't fit in the old type style boxes. It's a web-based mobile. It's read through an app to the city, and it's projected to begin in the spring of 2023. And that's a pretty well a little summary of what we're doing in the city. We've got a long way to go. We realize that, but we're moving, I feel like, in a positive direction now. The city before 2018, and this council and the mayor had a big thing and do it, and you guys did. You voted this in, that this designated fund, but as the city manager will tell you, I'm always looking for money for our funds. So, we've got a long way to go, but at least we're moving forward in a positive manner. All right, and I'd like to introduce Mr. Malone. Is there any questions? I didn't ask. Okay.
There
Mr.
we have
Ritter?
a microphone if y'all want to just wait one moment. That way we can also capture it on our live feed here.
Jeff Ritter, 6959 Holman Camp. My question would be on the new meter applications. Much like the electric meter, you can go online and see what the meter reading is from time to time. Will the citizens have a way with the new application to, by day or by week, to check on their water status? Is that possible?
It's
Thank you.
my understanding that you can get the app and you can follow, just like your electrical service is now to your home. You can follow your daily usage if you need to, or weekly usage.
Yes,
So,
the new system comes with a very robust dashboard that the citizens will have access to, and you can get almost real-time usage information.
Excellent, thank you.
go ahead.
I have a question for you. On the new meters, are they still going to have access for the residents to be able to turn off the water in case of emergencies? Like at night or something, we can't have public work. Will we still have access to be able to turn that water off
You will
from the
still
meter?
have the turn-off capability at your meter.
Not necessary, may I interject?
Is that right?
So it depends on when your home was built and the infrastructure
Right,
that's
right.
on your property from the meter to your home. So there is a shut-off, that's the city shut-off, that's the back of curb. But on the residential side or the property owner side of the meter, depending on when the home was built and when the infrastructure was put in, some of those come with the shut-offs and some do not. It's not the meter that has the shut-off itself, it's the connection to the meter. And so that may not be the case for every single property owner.
So will that be something that a homeowner is going to have to purchase?
If
To
your
have that?
connection doesn't already have the shut-off, then yes, you may have to add that.
Okay. Does the city reimburse like they do whenever they ask us to put in a clean-out drain towards the curb for the city? Will the city help reimburse some of that cost?
We don't have that factored into our financial performer right now because not everybody has those shut-offs on their side.
Thank you, ma'am.
Will the new water system, will we have a new charge on our bill for these things, or is it already included?
There's no additional charge on the bill.
Hello, Alex McLaughlin. I live off of Oxley, and I saw that was one of the streets addressed on the Public Works. And I took note of your presentation about not wanting to omit things that could be addressed when the street is otherwise redone. And so one of the aspects I saw for other streets was drainage was a factor for those. Oxley, when it rains during the summer rains that we've had, floods with like 12 inches of water, like running water. We've had cars stall out, had to get towed out. Is that drainage addressed on that budget? I did see a large budget allocated to it, but is that addressed on that Oxley Road, Oxley Drive?
If the street is equipped right now with the drainage, then drainage will be redone in that street.
Oh, it's
You
inadequate.
talking about making it larger so that it'll conduct more water or?
Well, at the current, we have about, like I said, 12 inches of running water. It's like an actual river running through Oxley. So the drainage that's in place, I'm not sure if it's adequate leading up to the street, but the street serves as a entire river.
Okay, so you're talking about the ones that the street is actually the drainage on, yeah. Oh, that,
So yes, we're aware of the challenges on Oxley, and staff's actually been working with our engineer to kind of come up with some temporary resolutions to help improve the drainage on that street. But drainage is something that we will be looking at with any of the streets in that portion of the city, along with Callaway, Evergreen, Oxley, all of those, because it's all above ground drainage right now, and not an underground drainage system. So we would be needing to address drainage in those areas.
that is something that we will be looking at very, 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 yeah. And I appreciate you asking that. Any other questions? Mr. Malone? There you go, buddy.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Travis Malone. I was just elected place 2 on council this May, so I'm really excited to see some of the things that have happened in the city and see some of the things that will happen in the city. And I'm a little underdressed compared to my colleagues. I came straight from work, so I didn't really want to wear a suit all day. So I've been asked to talk about the capital investments, and I want to say something. Since 2017, this city really has tried to make a big effort into investing in capital with our facilities, park development, and with equipment. You're going to see the kind of the outline of the capital plan. It's been worked on a lot, and it's always being looked at, updated. City staff and elected officials have put a lot of effort into this. So some things we've done, and you've heard about some of these, obviously the link, the new fire station. We didn't mention library roof. You've got to look at little things like this as a city to make sure you're replacing things when you need to replace them. By the way, we have a great, outstanding library. If y'all don't use it, I highly recommend y'all use it. A lot of good resources there. Some of the equipment, we've got fleet cars, new fire engine, new ambulance. Our fire department has really been a lot better equipped than they used to be. Now, obviously, we're talking about things we're doing in this fiscal year. First thing we kind of mentioned was the animal shelter. We're doing a lot of work to improve that building. A lot of renovations inside, adding dog runs outside. We're going to be able to expand parking. We've had a lot of complaints about during busy events there. Getting in and out of the parking lot is very difficult. So I'm really excited about that. With parks, we're going to add a restroom and pavilion facility to both Creek Trail Park and Kate Baker Park. We're going to add some parking to both of those parks. We're going to have a food truck park at Creek Trail. I'm really excited about that. That is a great location. Any food trucks there, we can also be able to capture some sales tax to help out our streets and everything else we've talked about tonight. Also with parks, this was mentioned, expanding broadband. A lot of young people like this, want to connect to the Wi-Fi on their cell phones. And it keeps people at the parks longer, so they don't have to, run home to check something if they're not wanting to use their cell phone or anything like that, to use their own data. So really excited about that. And it's paid for with, of course, the American Rescue Plan that's been mentioned tonight. One thing I'll add to it, that money from that law, it has to be spent in very specific ways. So if anybody, ever says, well, how come you couldn't use the money for this or for that? Based on how that law is written, if a city uses it, it's very specific on how it's going to be used. So some other things, again, we talked about this a little bit. City Hall, going to update our video, audio equipment, and I'm excited about that because before I was elected to council, I did watch some at home and was very frustrated with how it appeared. I couldn't hear it sometimes, and things would be messing up, so updating that is very good. And of course, this, again, was already mentioned with needs assessment with Public Works building, making sure we're going to be able to have a future plan for that building and not just throw it around. The masonry fence around that too is going to be really nice. It's going to make it look better as people are driving by or walking by. It's also a safety and security thing for people in that building or any equipment around the maintenance yard. And again, this was mentioned, the fire admin building. With the construction of the new fire station, all the fire administrative offices are in that building. So what we want to do as a city is, again, have that needs assessment, make sure we have a plan for that building and house any future staff or anything like that. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. I was a simple one, so,
Do I need to stand?
No, you don't.
Okay. My name is Jenny Clark. I'm at 6973 Hardesty Street. I'd like to address a concern, first of all, with the improvements in parks, and I'm all for them. Creek Trail definitely has a flooding issue, and I'd like to know if the city is planning on addressing those issues before any special renovations is done to that park, because I can say right now you can still see debris from the last flood that occurred on some of the swing sets and stuff like that. So it's obviously a huge issue, safety issue, definitely. If any resident has ever gone to Creek Trail, you'd know that there's a lot of erosion that is taking place. So is the city planning on addressing those issues before anything happens at that park?
I'll let the city manager answer before I add in.
Yes, so anytime we survey the parks before we develop them, we are looking at the topography of the surface. And Creek Trail Park is in a FEMA floodplain and floodway, pretty much the entire park. And that's not uncommon for parkland. Many cities take open spaces that are in these floodplains, floodways, and develop them into the parks because it is an allowable use. So we'll be looking at any of the structures that we put into that park and trying to determine what we need to do to get that structure out of that floodplain, out of that floodway. Any type of erosion associated with its proximity to the creek, we will address that as well. There's not a lot that we can do from the downstream drainage that's coming from North Richland Hills, but we can address it through the development of the park and making sure that those amenities are placed in areas that is safe for use.
And I'll just add, I've got some good friends who live around that park, so it's something I'm concerned about always, flooding and just safety issues around that park and any park.
Sandy Wright on Kingsbury Avenue. Was wondering how much funding are we supplementing to the link, and about how many more years is that going to go on?
Well,
When the council made the decision to develop the link and provide this amenities to the community, at that time it was determined that the subsidy from the general fund to the link was going to be $200,000 a year. That was the maximum subsidy. And I can tell you from somebody who's been in the Parks and Recreation industry my entire career, almost every recreation center that offers programs to a community receives some sort of subsidy from another city fund. There are very, very few, if any, true full cost recovery facilities. We're offering free programs to our residents, to our seniors, to our youth, and so not every bit of that can be recovered in cost just from the members and attendees of the programs here. So the goal is that on an annual basis, the link would not get more than $200,000 a year from the general fund.
Keith Albee on Danell Court. My question is that we're talking about food trucks and how that would impact our new city market. Are we looking at the conflict there?
I can tell you, Dan Boykin is aware of our food park. He's confident he's got a great location, and he does for his own food trucks. So I think there's enough business to go around, and there are different locations. There's going to be a lot of people from Creek Trail being pulled from, the mall area where the city market is going to get a lot of the people from all the industrial companies, either on this side and on the other side, 121. So he knew about that before he started this, and he's confident he's got a good plan. All right, I appreciate y'all so much. We're gonna go back to Curtis.
All right.
Hello, everybody. I'm Curtis Bergfield, and I'm still Mayor Pro Tem. Anyway, I'm presenting for Javier Alvarez tonight. He wasn't able to make it tonight or last night, so anyway, we'll talk about some economic development, and Continued growth in commercial sales tax base. I briefly touched on that earlier, but the sales tax grew by 20% in FY '22. And I'd mentioned a 35%, but it's a different type of sales tax in that area. Is that correct?
35% growth was specific to our general fund. When you average it out between the other sales tax funds, it was about 20% overall.
Another big plus for us this last year was a 50% increase in commercial property tax growth. Some of the highlights, 52% sales tax collections were from wholesale trade all throughout the city. So that's big. We're not carrying all that burden. We're getting a lot of it from these other big companies around. So that's better than the citizens having to pay for all that. And the top 10 companies represent 54% of the sales tax base in the city. 58 new businesses since last October. It's a lot. It's a lot of growth here. I mean, some go away, but we're still building in new businesses as well. And like they say in real estate, location, location, location. We're in a great place. People are starting to really recognize that and thinking, hey, this is where I want to be. So that's great. These companies, well, you'll go ahead. Those aren't necessarily in the order of the taxes that we get from them, but you can see some of the companies around, and by all means, try to use them for whatever you need in this city too. Try to keep your business local. On the horizon, I think a lot of you know that we have the Baker Landing Townhome Development with 69 lots. We have the Richland Crossing Townhome Development with 52 lots. Those two projects right there will build out $35 to $40 million in ad valorem taxes back to the city. So it's a real plus for us. We get about 250 people that live in there to help with the growth on Baker Boulevard. And that's, you know, a lot of people want that. We talk about Glenview. Glenview's another location, but Baker is also real important. Get a lot of traffic. We just looked at some of the traffic counts lately that were done this year, so we can see that people are passing through here. People will stop by, as well as the residents wanting to utilize the businesses once we get them going. But we've got to get the rooftops in and the people in, so that's our goal there. 4 more single-family lots along with a commercial build at Baker Boulevard and Crite Street. Those were approved a few months ago. They haven't started that yet. A lot of you know about the City Market and Cafe. Dan Boykin, as Travis mentioned his name earlier, he has a lot of vision for that area. He owns a couple of businesses across the street, which is the Fast Signs and then the gun store as well. So he's very successful at that, but he also wants to keep his business here and grow here because he just sees that there's a lot of opportunity here as well. The expansion projects in both industrial and business parks. We see some of the companies changing out their building footprint inside and repurposing what they have. And then, like I said, anything liquid has come to town. There are other companies that are moving here. There's still some vacant properties over there, but that park does real well. That's along Hanley, Eaterville, and over there across the highway by the new 7-Eleven, which that 7-Eleven I've heard is one of the best in this region. I'm not sure, but that's what I've been told too. So a lot of traffic that goes by there. Several projects in the early stages of development review process. So we approved last night a new car wash up on State Highway 26. That's pretty great, really is. That'll give the residents place to get your car cleaned right here local. Keep your money local. So seemed like a good group too. Well, family-oriented type of people, and they care about their staff. They, I think, got an award for that too. Glenview Drive Corridor Master Plan. City's partnering with a company called Catalyst Commercial to develop a master plan for the Glenview Drive corridor. The corridor master plan will include street improvements accepted as part of the most recent Tarrant County bond program. So those were some of the funds that the county received that we were able to apply for. We had 3 different locations, and that's the location that was chosen. So Glenview, we can rebuild that street over there, make improvements to sidewalks, lighting, and then eventually with our work to try to get the businesses going over there too. Because we feel like it's a little bit of a lost area right now that could be repurposed so it has a good feel to it. And we're so close to what North Richland Hills is doing too. Want to have something so they can leave that area away from some of the newer restaurants or whatever and come over to our area as well and experience a little bit of, just a little bit of a different culture. Let's see, that project anticipated to kick off next month for the corridor study. Building improvement grants. This is something, I don't know, I think our city manager came up with this, but it was a building improvement grant program that's going to start in January of this next year, 2023, so that businesses along or throughout the city and in the TERS district, and I'll tell you what TERS is. It's Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone. It's money that we take from our dollars that we receive to put back into businesses to help them grow so that you can change the facade on your building, maybe make some building improvements. We'll participate in the cost of a new sign over there possibly, and landscaping so that you have the areas looking nice and not just real dry. I think y'all have been up and down Baker Boulevard enough to know what I'm talking about. And with that, I'll open it up to any questions that y'all might have.
John Skier, 7016 Park Place. Where can we find the 50 businesses that have moved into town? Is there a list?
I think the gentleman standing right next to you could probably help you with that. Is that right, Logan?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, we keep a business directory updated on our website, and if you can always come and talk to me as well, and I could get you a list. We give a monthly update every month at City Council as well, part of our monthly update with all of our new businesses that we keep up to date.
All right. Any other questions? Okay. Teresa?
One second.
Let him get the mic to you.
I'm sorry. Has someone bought the foam, recycled foam plant yet, and are they going to do anything with it?
I'll let the city manager answer that one.
So I'll go ahead and answer that.
Okay.
The State Marshal's office seized it, and then it went through a different buyer, and then another buyer. So we're currently still in the process with them.
All right. Yes, sir.
Brian Lewis, 2933 Gunwood Park. If location is very important for the businesses coming in, I would also like to have you guys address appearance as well, because there's many vacant lots in our city that are overgrown with weeds, and where the curbing is are overgrown with weeds. And what does the city plan on doing about improving the appearance of that? If we let our grass get that high, we get a ticket.
Right. The city is starting to be more aggressive with some of that problem that we're dealing with, because we walk in the mornings and we see it and we think, okay, it's not getting mowed. So is somebody going to go out and mow it for them and then charge back the house or the homeowners? You know, they're working on that, but I agree. It needs to be taken care of for vacant lots as well as occupied lots. So I believe, and I talked to our city manager about that. I said, what if I see one? She said, well, typically when you do, 90% of the time, there's already been a case filed on it. So, but she says, still bring them to us in case we don't see it. But most of the time there has been something done. But if it's going too long, if it's going months, either they can't find the property owner, it might be a vacant house. It gets really difficult sometimes.
Popplewell and Highway 10, that vacant lot, take a look at it tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, that's where the new development's supposed to go in.
Okay.
Right. And I understand, right. All right, any other questions?
Sorry.
Yeah, we got a couple.
Sorry, real quick. Jenny Clark, 6973 Hardesty Street. Do I have to repeat that every time? Okay. I have two questions, actually. One, and I think I know the answer to this. The current activity that's going on Highway 10 right now, is that part of the beautification that TxDOT is taking care of in our town? Is that correct? I see the mayor kind of nodding yes. Yeah? Okay, because I mean, it's a big hot mess, but I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like. So that was a question there.
Well, let me answer real quick.
Yeah.
So that's part of the continuity of some of the improvements that we've made before, because it didn't all match going through. It's not easy to maintain, so it looks ugly. So that's what we're doing. It's part of a green ribbon project that the state funds for us, and we participate as well, just like a hike and bike trail.
Thought so. A
Yes.
lot of this was discussed in council meetings, and so I'm glad that you brought the hike and bike trail up. I think that is a huge asset to our city. I love it. My main concern, and I'm hoping you'll answer this question as a yes, that maybe some crossing lights or something will be in strategic places, such as right there on Glenview or right there on Highway 10, where pedestrians can feel a little bit more comfortable crossing those areas of hike and bike trail. Does the city have any plans in regards to that also?
To my knowledge, currently, we do not, unless you can tell me different.
Yeah, so the original design of the hike and bike trail, our goal was to get some sort of pedestrian access straight across Highway 10 to the other side. TxDOT did not approve that because of its proximity to the Hanley-Edderville intersection. And so at that point, it goes up to the nearest intersection. So the trail itself, you should go to the Hanley-Edderville intersection, cross there at the light, and then go back down and get onto the hike and bike trail. We are still trying to have those conversations with TxDOT because we've seen that other cities, Plano, Anderson, some of those in Collin County area, have streets with speed limits very similar to Baker Boulevard, and they have pedestrian cut-throughs. So we're still trying to continue those conversations.
One more thing about the hike and bike trail. The mayor, city manager, and me, we met with Encore last week or week before, and to talk to them about extending the hike and bike trail over there where their power substation is across Latham. So we're trying to extend that so we even have more of it as well. All right?
Another question.
Up there where you're going to build those houses, are those going to be zero lot line?
Those are townhomes, so they'll be in different units or different sections with units that will be side by side.
Okay, I kind of feel like sometimes we're losing the personality of Richland Hills. Everybody is just wanting to crowd everything in and make it smaller so they can make more. I think we're losing our personality and what really draws people to Richland Hills. And I've had 5 houses here and been through a lot, so I pretty well know. And to me, it's just like it's like we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Well, let me address that real quick, just because these are going to be run by homeowners associations, so they'll be, I'm sorry?
Louder.
These will be run by a homeowners association so that everything will be kept clean and mowed and fertilized, watered, everything. So it's going to look really nice. We do have a lot of apartment complexes in this city. These aren't apartment complexes. These will be people that will purchase these. Whether they live in them or not, I don't know, but they will purchase them, and they're fairly expensive. So it's not the best thing for an investment property just to rent out. So I expect that we'll have some younger families moving in here and some people that are retired that may want to move here too, because this is just, like I say, such a great location. So we still want to keep the feel of the city too. So they'll blend in somewhat with the city, but most of the houses here were built in the 50s. So it's hard to keep that look. So the only way to move forward is you start attracting more people, and that's how you get more people in this town. And that's a great purpose for those 2 pieces of property. I know some people were against one of them, but there really aren't a lot of good uses unless you have rooftops here and more people. That's how you get things going. Thank you for your question. That back there is fine, or whatever.
I just didn't want to make sure I wasn't talking over anybody. 2 questions. One, on the hike and bike trails, has there been any discussion about putting better signage coming up to them? I don't even know if there could be something like a little flashing solar light or something. I had an incident the other day where I was coming down Dover, and I guess my mind was somewhere else, and I had a dog and a bicyclist come right out in front of me, and fortunately I had plenty of time to stop, but I thought, boy, it would have been nice if I'd have just had something like a flashing light or even a bigger sign, because the signs are pretty close to the park. They're only about a car and a half length, or that's what it feels like. So maybe there's something farther out or something that really gets your attention. And then number two, has there been any talk about a dog park in town? Because right now I have to drive all the way over to TCC to the Hearst Dog Park. And I have a big backyard, but I got a big dog and she needs to get out and exercise. So I don't know if that's been talked about in our city, but it sure would be a plus.
So as far as the signs at the, like trailheads when you come to an intersection, that's something that city staff could look at or have their engineer look at as well and see if that's necessary. I'm not sure what other cities are doing. I don't usually see that kind of thing. People are really just supposed to stop at streets and not just cross blindly, but, that's how it is with folks. So anyway, and as far as a dog park, I know I've heard people talking about it. I don't know that there are any plans for a dog park in the city at this time. If people come and speak at council meetings, maybe it's something we can consider. I don't know what the costs, liabilities are, those kind of things. That's something that staff would have to look at as well. But it's something people should be vocal about if they feel like that's what they need. One more.
Janet Nolly, 7200 block of Brooks Avenue. Well, actually, two things. First, the maintenance on the walk trail is terrible. They do not mow. The grass will be, or the weeds will be this high. It's not mowed, and there's also lots of fire ants. I get that. I'm battling it too, but it's not maintained. It's not mowed like they said it would be. I live right next to it. I've sent pictures. So I'm concerned about that, maybe looking at some other person or company to do that. The second thing is the townhomes at Popplewell and 10. Is that still one in and one out, which goes on to Popplewell?
Yes, that is. Well, Popplewell and then on to Highway 10 or Baker Boulevard.
Right, but it was my understanding from, and this was, I don't know when, way back, at the meeting, that it would be a circle entry, and all of it you would go in and go out on Popplewell, that there would not be one on 10.
There's access on 10.
There is access
Yes.
on 10. Is there anything in the future infrastructure to help Popplewell sustain all these extra people going up and down that road?
Well, so I spoke about 250 people, but that's not all adults driving a car. So you don't have that much increased traffic. You'll have some, but they're not going to do the damage to those streets like a trash truck would or a concrete truck or something like that. Just vehicular traffic is not that difficult on the street.
But as far as waiting and the traffic and the backup, because at Popplewell and 26, there's no light. And then you've got where either end. So if you're traveling that, it's just going to back up traffic really bad. I just wondered if you had anything in the plans to help the flow too?
Right. At this time, there's nothing in the plan, but in the future, if it is a problem where you're getting stacking, going back up Popplewell or something like that, it needs to be regulated. I suppose the city could look at getting with TxDOT for a traffic signal. Am I speaking out of turn? Okay, all right. So, and I'm sorry, what was your other question? It was about?
I just complaining.
Oh, the
about
maintenance. Okay, the maintenance on the hike and bike trails. Yeah, so those are supposed to be mowed on a regular basis, about 10 feet from the trail on both sides on a fairly frequent basis. The other outer portion only gets mowed, I can't tell you how many days. That's a staff question. Probably every 3 months sounds about right for the outer portion. But the 10-foot portion is.
There is, we have had a contract service mowing that. We are intending to bring that in-house once we hire a staff member to do that. So there will be a little more regular maintenance of the hike and bike trail. I do want to state that there are sections of it where we have planted, pollinators. So there are gonna be some sections of the hike and bike trail, especially during the winter months, when everything goes dormant, that might look a little unkept, but that's because in the spring, they're gonna bloom, and there's gonna be wildflowers and flowers that attract butterflies and other pollinators. So there are sections of the hike and bike trail that may look unkept, but that's intended to be on purpose. And we are gonna be putting in some signage as that material continues to grow to kind of make some educational opportunities. Now, up against the property lines, we did have some issues with the contractor not getting that close to the residential lines, and we are gonna be remedying that.
We have any other questions? We have one over there.
Okay.
Hi, Darcy Ayton, 3713 Ruth Road. On the hike and bike trail, are there any plans to add any benches? I have an 80-year-old roommate that would love to go, but we're afraid, she's not gonna be able to walk the whole block.
Yes, the city is in the process of trying to get some benches out there for rest areas, because it's important, especially when it gets to be over 100 degrees outside. So, anyway, yes.
Okay, thank you. The other thing is on the city market. I just
Yes.
wanted to, that's great. I love it. I've been there, a couple times, and we'll continue to go. I really love that we started that and can't wait for the future improvements. So,
Right.
thank you.
We're real excited about it too, just for y'all, so it's great for us as residents as well to have it, so. Any other questions? Well, thank you all very much. I appreciate you coming again, and just do want you all to recognize that our city staff here, I worked in government for 41 years, our city staff is excellent. And to find a small community where you can hire such qualified people is really hard to do so many times. And it's easier in big cities where they pay a lot more money. We're trying to get funds up for our staff and all, but they do an excellent job and very professional. So thank them when you see them.
Oh, I don't have to reach just for that. Howdy, everybody. I'm GW Step. Thank you, Councilmember Bergtold, for the introductions. Good evening. I am GW Step. I'm the newest resident on the council and the newest council member elected in May of 2021. As the resident techie on the council, I get to talk about engaging with the residents. It's very exciting to me because it involves computers, phones, and other sources of ones and zeros. I want to thank, the city staff and the council really wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you all, the residents, right? There would be no reason for us to serve. So I want to thank you guys for our amazing city, for everyone that attends this function, all the city-sponsored events and everything. It is really what makes our city special. It makes this a very home-like place and a home city to live in. And we just love it. Right? My wife and I have lived here 4 years. I've been on the council for a year and a half. An incredible experience on the council serving you. An incredible place to live for all the reasons everybody's talked to. We work right across 121. We are within shouting distance of everything, and we don't have to get on the highway to get to almost anything that we need. So I know you guys know all that. That's why we moved here, and I'm on the council because I want this city to thrive, and I want to live here until I have to go to the home. I'd like to thank our city staff. They just work so hard for us, right? It has been their idea to put this, the State of the City meeting together, a huge thing for the city, a huge thing to help us with communication. And all of our city staff has worked really hard on this. So please reach out, thank them for putting this together, and know that they are always open, and we, the council, are always open to any suggestions, improvements, things that you want us to look at. Like every other household, we operate within a budget, and we do what we can with the money we have, and we're always willing to listen to ideas that you have. Tonight, I get to talk about four different topics. I'm going to talk about our new brand identity, our new website, new community notification tools, and then an upcoming resident survey that we're going to do, a citizen survey that we're going to have. So on the brand identity, we started this process in early 2021, and right around the time that I was elected. When you get elected to, when you're a new elected official, you have to go through some training. It's a required training course. And so I went to this training, and I had already gotten a t-shirt, I mean, not a shirt, but a city shirt that had our logo on it. Couldn't see it from far away, couldn't read it unless you were right on top of it. So I'm at this training event with lots of people, and everybody has really large letters for their cities and big logos, and nobody can tell where I'm from. And it was very disappointing. I was like, we have to do something better. I want to be able to see Richland Hills from across the room. And so I was really happy that we started this process of rebranding the city, getting us a refreshed logo, and that's just the surface. There's lots of things that are going on with that. So we decided to move forward with the rebranding process. We hired a company called Civic Brand. They're out of Dallas, and they are experts in marketing and rebranding cities, and they have done an excellent job. We also created a branding committee. And this is a group of people that are residents comprised to pull together to help advise the city staff on where the residents want to go with branding. What does that mean? What does it look like? How does it feel? All those things are really important. So this committee really came together, helped give the city staff lots of advice, counseled the council with their thoughts and all that. It was a great experience. We also had a lot of engagement touch points through the city council meetings and everything, keeping people up to date on how that was going in progress. I really think you're going to like this brand. And so for those of you who haven't seen it in these council meetings, we'll show you a picture of some of the logos. So you can tell that even on a shirt or a hat or anything, you're going to be able to see this logo from far away. It's easy to read, really great colors. Like I said, Civic Brand did a great job of doing the graphics design on this and helping us come with a look and feel that I think really reflects our city. So this new brand emphasizes what makes us unique, and it's really going to be a catalyst for us for future marketing and economic development efforts. I think this is going to attract businesses, residents. It's going to just make this a place to be. And so you're going to start seeing the new brand on city publications, vehicles, uniforms, and all that starting this month. It's going to take us a few years to get rid of all the letterhead and all the business cards and all the logos on the buildings that we have around. But we promise you that's going to be in progress. So if you guys see something around the city that has our old logo on it, please let somebody know. Can't promise it'll get replaced right away, but just know that we're working on that. And we have a video to show. Oh, see, update, real-time update right there. You want to show that now? Okay.
I really thought this was an important opportunity to get community input, to bring community together to talk about who is Richland Hills, who do we want to be now, who do we want to be in the future, and bring a lot of interested parties together, businesses, community members, nonprofits, to talk about Richland Hills and set an identity.
That's what makes a difference, is the people that live here choose to be here because they know how special it is. We're blessed to be in the center of the Metroplex that is very vibrant with arts, sports, activities, concerts, quick access to travel, and businesses know that too, and that's why they choose to locate here in Richland Hills, is because we're so convenient to everyone.
I think it's a diamond in the rough. Its proximity to Fort Worth. There's nothing but upwards to go for Richland Hills, so long as they continue their process of development and mindful development. They can really benefit from the uplift in the area. The location is excellent.
Richland has everything that you need. We have a phenomenal police and fire department. We have the link. So we have child care, we have summer camp, we have an incredible gym, a beautiful library. The staff here is incredible. We have everything you can need right here in Richland Hills. One of the unique things about Richland Hills is that it is a livestock and agricultural friendly community. Everybody here is allowed to keep a certain number of chickens. You can have horses if your lot allows for it, or other agricultural livestock animals. Very, very cool.
It's my neighbors.
You know, watch out for Richland Hills. There's a lot of people that really care. There's a lot of positive movement happening here, and I think we're kind of on the cusp of becoming the best version that we could be. And so I think that we're no longer the silent, you know, kind of quiet neighbor. I think that Richland Hills is really looking for our own identity and for taking our place in the Metroplex.
So what comes with the brand? So we started doing the branding process a little over a year and a half ago, and along with that, we said we really need to have a better website. Lots of antiquated capabilities on our current website. Things are hard to find, and just we heard that loud and clear. We needed to kind of hold off on that until we got this branding process down, because we wanted to clearly understand how the brand was going to fit into the website. And we did a lot of surveys and took a lot of feedback from our residents on what it is our website needed to do. And as you know, websites are very dynamic, and we've worked really hard to come out with the first version of this website. It's actually going to launch on Thursday, so 2 days from now. So we really encourage everybody to reach out on your computer, on your phone, look at the website, and that's, you know, one of the three goals we had was make it easy to navigate and find things, make it compatible with mobile devices as well as computers, and have dedicated calendars where meetings and programs and events were clearly understood. You could subscribe to the things that are going on in the city at your choice, and get updates by email or text or however that happens. So we're going to, so here's the front page of the website. Again, as the geek in City Council, I got the privilege of actually using this for the last couple of weeks, and I sent a big old long list to our city manager. I'm sure she was really happy about that. Mostly positive comments, right? Some things are, most of my comments were old logos on PDFs that weren't changed, and that's probably not going to change. But all of the current information was on there. It was really easy to use, very, very completely done. So again, thanks for city staff. I know that's a huge effort. We did that at my company about 2 years ago, and it was a major effort. Coming up with something that's usable, user-friendly, right, easy on the eyes, and useful, right? It has to be all of those things. So that was a tall order. This website is going to be the same as always, richlandhills.com. So no reason to go look anywhere else. That's where it's going to be. We'll flip a switch one day. It'll be old one day and the new thing the next day. So anyway, you guys are going to love this, right? I think it's going to be great. It's not perfect. There is no perfect website. There is actually no perfect software. So please take that with a grain of salt. And again, we welcome your feedback, welcome all inputs, pros and cons. If you see something that's missing or something that's hard to get to, we have full control over this. One of the challenges we had with the previous website was really hard to edit. Didn't have full control of all of that because it was so old and built on really antique technology. And so that's part of what has happened is the city has control of all the content and has a lot more flexibility in making it better as we go forward. All right, community notification tools. I know we've talked over, at least since I was elected, about Nixle. It's a notification system for, kind of started off as emergencies, we're gonna get hail or the wind's blowing really hard or, tornadoes are coming and that kind of thing. And it's really turned into something more and that the need for more diverse notification system caused us to look for a better platform. So we're moving from Nixle to Everbridge. It's kind of it's the same company. They're expanding the product to have different capabilities. So they renamed it. And so I highly encourage you, if you're not on Nixle/Everbridge now, you need to get on it. The notification for this meeting was on there. I get notifications about weather things all the time. Part of the expansions, again, you'll be able to subscribe to the things that are important to you. There will be a web portal where you can go manage how that happens and how frequently you get things, that kind of thing. So I want to make sure everybody understands that system. As soon as the website launches, you'll have the ability to get on, log on, set up your profile, set up how things work for you. Will they be getting mail about that? Is that right?
Yes, next month we are going to send out a postcard promoting the new website, and then it's also going to talk about how residents can make sure that if you're with Nixle, you get moved over to the Everbridge platform, and if you haven't signed up, how you can sign up for Everbridge.
Right. So one last thing, please, please tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your neighbors' neighbors, tell even people that don't even live here. I don't care. Just tell everybody, because the more people in our city that know about this, the more functional this is going to be. The more it's going to help everybody. And so the more people that know about something, I talked to one of the people I play pickleball who lives in our city, and he didn't know about this meeting because he's not on Facebook and he didn't have Nixle, and there's not really a way to communicate with him, right? And so it's really important to get people on the system. So please help us out. Get out there and recruit people to sign up for this. It'll really help everybody. So one other way to stay connected with the city, we have just about every avenue. I don't think we don't have TikTok, right? So don't get excited about TikTok, huh?
We may get TikTok.
We may get TikTok. I wouldn't do TikTok, but that's a business. So Facebook, all these are different areas of the city on our Facebook pages, so please check those out. You can follow each page just like anybody else's page on Facebook. We have a couple of Instagram sites too for the link and the library, and then Twitter, of course. So whatever social media avenue you prefer, you can get those, except for TikTok right now. So anyway, please visit those. These are official. This is where you need official information about the city. It's not somebody else's page that's translating something for the city. Really encourage you to get it from the horse's mouth, and that's what these are. This is the horse's mouth for the information for the city. So please check those out. I think that's, yeah. So the final thing I want to talk about, and final but really just as important as the other things I've talked about, is we're going to have a citizen survey. We're going to do that next month, this is the city's opportunity to ask a bunch of questions and for you as residents to give the city your honest opinion. Some will be check boxes. Do you like this or do you like that? Rate this, rate that. There's always going to be a box for you to write in the things that you want. So please save up all your feedback. All of that is going to go into a system and get evaluated, and to help us make decisions going forward, where we're spending money, what we're focusing on priority or parks, and all of those things. So it's your opportunity to do that. So let me say this again, please. So the citizen survey is going to be done by Point. The city uses a lot of companies that do this kind of work, right? We don't do it ourselves, right? We hire the experts to do that because this is a one-time event, right? They're going to work on this for a couple of months and then they're done. And we take the data and we make decisions on that, and that data will be shared with everybody, right? It'll be information you can have. So really, the purpose of this is for us to gain insight into what is important to you guys, quality of life of the community, and satisfaction with city services, and all those things. So really important. Share with your friends, share with your neighbors, neighbors. Tell everybody to please, please, please fill out the survey. It's going to be mailed to everybody in the city. It's paper.
No, it's actually online.
It's online?
Yes,
Oh,
it's a digital
the notice
survey.
is in the mail.
There will be a notice
Right.
mailed, yes.
Right.
And we are going to be pushing different opportunities to connect with some of our residents who may not have access. Staff is working on a full communication plan to make sure that we can get this distributed to every person in the community that wants to participate. Because the more feedback we have, the more we know the area and the focus that the council and staff needs to go down.
Yeah. If you can't make city council meetings, which we understand it's hard to do for a lot of people, this is your opportunity on your schedule to give the city all the feedback you could ever give them. Right? And so please don't pass this opportunity. That was really important. Let's see. So offer it in English and Spanish. Work on your phone or your computer. So again, please participate as much as you can and tell everybody about it that you can. And with that, I'm handed off to our city manager.
Questions?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, shoot. I thought I was going to get away. Yes, Mr. Wright, what can I answer for you?
Just real quick, this has nothing really to do with GW's side, but the whole water meter thing, I'm all about the growth, and I think it's fantastic. But as a homeowner, that valve is how I shut everything off at the house. If my wife was to come running and saying, hey, this is leaking or that's going, I think GW steals water from my house, but I'm not going to say anything. But and we definitely need to get that out to the people, because now that's on the forefront of my mind is when this does go down, and like I said, it's a great process, I'm going to have to get some kind of alternative way to turn the water off to the house. A sprinkler system will have a double check, which won't be affected by a water meter, which can turn off the water. But if the water meter is coming out and there's not going to be some way to turn that off, that'll be a huge concern for those on fixed income, those that don't have that kind of ability. Those that are going to have to pay a plumber hundreds of dollars to come out and dig and put that in, just preparation for that.
Yes, and with this project, the meters are looking at going in probably mid to late spring. But we are already working on a communication plan with the group that's doing this. There will be door hangers, there will be social media, there will be information as we're, you will know before your meter is touched. You will be.
I disagree with GW. The hardest thing is to get that information to everybody.
Yes.
Right.
And it's always hard because there's always someone that feels like they got left out in that whole scenario. And as when my mother was here, I could imagine her, well, it's spraying water in the house, but I can't turn it off, and you're talking about some, that could be some catastrophic.
Right, so tell your neighbors, tell your neighbors' neighbors, tell your friends' neighbors. There's, at some point, you have not got in touch with somebody, and I want to make sure, we are trying to make sure that we are beyond the call of duty to make sure that we are as many avenues as possible. We're still going to miss people. And we're really going to depend on you residents to keep in touch with your neighbors that may be a little out of touch. But I think on the water meter shutoff thing, I think the situation is if you have a shutoff now, they're not taking it out to get a new meter. you keep the shut off you have.
But if the
What she's
meter-
saying is there are people now with no shut offs on the house side of the meter, right? You got a shut off on the city side of the meter?
Only the city side.
Right,
And
that's all
where
I have.
shut mine off at. And so
Right.
that's what I'm saying is I will go back and put one in on the other side.
Right.
So that I can
Yes,
turn it off.
The city shut off remains.
The city shut off's not getting removed,
Okay.
right?
So the T handle that we use in the ground now to turn the water off.
Yeah, they're
will
just
still be
they're just replacing the meter.
there. Okay. I misunderstood and thought
But,
that it was.
but the point is still true, there are people with no shut-offs, right? I guess the city has a shut-off before,
The city has a shut off on every.
on every meter, right?
Yes, because that's how we turn water off to make repairs.
Right.
Okay. Otherwise, thank y'all for this tonight. Great.
Thank you, good question.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that if we have a shut off now, you will have a shut off whenever they
So I
change the
wanna-
meters.
I'm going to say, please direct those questions to our public works director, and so he can be more specific as to the makeup of the meter and what exists and what doesn't exist. So that, because it's gonna be very individual to every property owner, depending on your connectivity.
Great. Okay, one more question. Will we be having T-shirts for sale? I love the new brand.
That's something I actually talked to our city manager about and said, so this is a dress shirt,
love it.
right? This city branded shirt. And I said, when we got these, it's like, we need to make these available to every resident in our city, right? And we, the different versions, right? Not everybody wants to wear a dress shirt. We have some golf shirts and that kind of thing.
T-shirts.
So no decision has been made about that, but I've suggested
We
that
can
we
have a
do that. So.
fundraiser and Doug can use the money for his street projects.
Hey, there you go. Yeah.
Actually, I think the better plan would be to, if you fill a pothole, you get a shirt. What do you think, Doug?
Yeah, it was once discussed when we were talking about the website that there would be a page where residents could enter questions and then the council members could come back and look at those questions and answer them. Are we going to still have that, or did it get lost in the mail?
I don't know, there is a place where you can submit questions,
But can everybody see those questions?
no.
It
It's not
needs
where
to be
everybody
a
can see the
web,
question.
there needs to be a page where residents can go in and see what people are asking. And the,
Like a blog.
yeah, and the council members, mayor, city staff, whoever, can go answer these questions so that they feel like they're being addressed and they don't have to call a phone number and get no answer and things like that.
We do not have that feature on the website right now. I don't know that that was a module that we could even have on the website, but we can look at maybe a way that we could collect questions.
We have to be, as you know, we have to be careful with meeting notice, quorum problems.
I would only give them the option to question, but not make comments.
But you gotta be real careful there about creating a quorum through your council's answering on, because we're responsible for social media just like
But there's,
everyone is.
without going into an extensive analysis of the law, if he sends an email to you and you talk to me on the phone about it, and then there's, you text Curtis about that same thing, that's a quorum.
But use the
we can't-
example on the website, how could you create a quorum doing that? I don't think you could.
If I don't, well, if Doug and Curtis talk, if Doug answers your question, you talk to Curtis, and I don't know you've done either of those, and you and I talk about that same time.
But if I'm just a resident and I ask a question and Doug answers it, then I can talk to whoever I want. It would be
True.
up to him to not talk to two more people, but you're
But
already doing that.
Right, but talking is, it's how you share information, right? So,
Well, that would be you guys' responsibility, and I think you're adult enough to take care of that.
for everybody that doesn't know this, a quorum on our council is 3 or more people talking about a city subject without giving you guys 3 days notice that we're going to do that, right? If we do that, we can go to jail, right? So that's important to us, not to go to jail. So we're a little hesitant to do something we shouldn't do. So, yes, sir.
Yeah, you got me on.
Communication, you know, is something that's very vital for us as residents, from y'all as being our city council members.
Yes, sir.
And as much as I travel and the things I see, one of the things I'd like to suggest, since Highway 10 is probably the main corridor here in Richland Hills, I see where there's a lot of cities that are putting up LED signs. And they're putting info out there about the meeting like tonight, and about what's going on in the future, and about the new website, and things like that. And I'd just like to toss that out there that you guys can maybe shuffle the deck and say, let's see, do we have budget money for LED signs?
Right.
And now where they would go on Highway 10 is, you know, that'd have to be an assessment and where they go, but
Sure.
I mean, that's a beautiful way to communicate to people.
It is. Let me give you an example. This sign right here at the link, I think costs $42,000.
Oh, I know.
We can fix a big giant, you know, sewer leak. We can fix a whole ton of potholes for that kind of money. So there's trade-offs in that kind of thing, and it's a great idea. And we do put stuff on this sign, but it's the only one. And,
Yeah.
You know, that's a pretty small one in the big picture of, you know, LED
Yeah.
signs.
We just need to sell T-shirts.
Right.
Excuse me.
I think I'm going a little backwards on this question, but we were talking about the water meters. So if we have a situation where we have someone, especially an elderly person, who does not have a shut-off, we have people out there replacing the meters, could they not offer some type of low-cost addition of a shut-off at that point for them?
It's not, the meter that we have does not come with a shut-off on the meter. That would be incumbent upon the property owner to do that.
Oh, I understand
And
that.
the contractor won't be able to do that themselves. It would have to be a separate contractor.
Okay.
Quick question regarding the
Is it about water
Nixle.
meters?
No, it's about,
Okay.
no,
All
no.
right, just checking.
I don't know. He's my water
I'm
person.
not the water meter guy.
No, he's my water expert. I don't have a
We
clue
have
on
a
that.
shut off. We're good.
Okay, good.
We got a shut off. We're
He's
good.
my handyman. He does all that. Now, my question is about the Nixle Everbridge. I've been on that ever since the city first switched over, and something changed. And I don't know if we're going to have someone in the city that's an expert on that type of thing that can answer questions. But I was getting texts, and then I started getting phone calls, and so now I get a 3 to 5 minute long electronic voice that doesn't know how to pronounce anything and throws in the asterisks for, and by the time I get the whole message, I could be hit by a tornado. You know,
right.
like, do I need to get in my closet yet or not? And I've gone online, I've tried to change it back to text, it won't change. I've reached out to them, to their help desk people, and no response. So is there somebody in the city that can help with that kind of thing, or guide us, or how?
We could definitely look at it on our end, and if not, we can reach out to our representative with Nixle and see if there was a glitch or what we can do to fix that.
Okay. that would
City
be-
has a bigger hammer.
Okay, so email
Yes.
you. Okay,
Yes.
perfect,
And I
thank
have
you.
a business card I can give you.
Awesome, thank you.
Oh, real quick, I'd like to touch kind of on what Athena was talking about how you can bring questions to the council. And I think a lot of people actually know this, but if you do attend a council meeting, they have cards. And you can also submit questions online, which will be addressed during council meetings publicly, which I really appreciate. So for people who are not aware of this, and you have a question or concern, you can take it. I mean, check the city website, look at the date the council meeting is going to happen, get on the website, ask those questions or comments, and bring them to the council, and they'll, I mean, I've been there, I've witnessed it. They do read those cards out. They get the secretary accesses it online and brings those questions forth out into the open, which I think is wonderful. So, I mean, it's not you're not going to get arrested
Oh, no,
for
right.
answering
Well,
those questions
and it's
in that way, because it is a formal setting where facts are stated. You have a question, the council addresses it in a very factual
way, so.
And the most important thing is you, the residents, got 3 days' notice and all of the topics we're gonna discuss, and that's the rules, right? As long as you get 3 days, 72 hours notice, and here's the things we're gonna talk about, then we can discuss those things in the meeting, and that's the whole purpose. So residents can come and ask us questions about things that are on the agenda, and we can talk about those. But you don't have to ask us about things on the agenda. You can come and tell us what you think and ask us questions. Those questions are recorded, and we'll have to address them later because those things weren't on the agenda, so we can't address answers in that meeting. But you bring it to our attention, and we can address them at the next meeting. So, thanks, Jenny.
Thank you, though, for clarification.
Right, good question.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Councilman, I want to agree completely with Athena on the understanding that the website was supposed to have, or my understanding of it was that it was supposed to have like you can ask questions, everyone else can see them. Maybe council members shouldn't answer it, but staff could, so that you wouldn't get those constant phone calls over and over again. How do I do this? How do I do that? Without it not something that may not be in the facts that I see were on the website. And I was very happy to see that there's a fax included. So thank you for that. But I think Athena had a great idea, and I hope that maybe you could add that module or add that blog type of thing of here's, because it's okay for city staff to answer, but maybe not necessarily for council to answer. And I think that it would be something that could be doable that way. But, as Athena said, if you only have one council member answering, then it's not going to be a quorum. And she should know because she was on the council for so long and did so many good things. So I think that would be something we should consider if that's, if it's possible.
Yeah. So Stacy, you would realize that, so if somebody asks you a question and then there's 5,000 answers and one of them is Doug or Curtis.
It would only be one answer. It would be one question and one answer, and then no more conversation, like how do I pay my, how do I get a dog pass?
It's not an interactive conversation.
It would just be static, answering common questions that maybe are not in a fact. That's what I envision.
Yeah, I would say, great idea. I would say 90% of the questions that a resident would ask is probably not from us anyway. It's how to operate in the city or how to pay my water bill or those kind of things that would be better answered by the staff anyway.
And I'll just say that there is a feature on the website where you can report a concern. It does go to a staff member. They will see it. They will respond back with an answer. But there is on that, if you saw it on that page, and I want to, you go there, you report your concern, ask your question, and it will get to a staff member. That's the right designated area.
I think another thing we should look at if we're not is if we get the same question from 10 people every week, then that ought to turn into a fact question. And then it's training people to go look at the fact before they ask a question, right? That's nearly impossible in my experience, but it's worth doing.
But not interactive.
Right.
That defeats the purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Logan was saying, where is he saying it would be at?
You go to that I want to on the top right. If that thing is completely built out, so that way, if there's anything that where you're looking to find where to pay something, where to receive something, it's completely built out. But there is a section on there that says report a concern. It comes down with a survey, and online you just fill it out where you want it to go to, and it gets sent to that proper staff member, and they'll respond back to you.
But even better, I went there, and the very first thing I know a million people ask is, when is bulk trash pickup? I went in, that's the very first thing I did. When is bulk trash pickup? That was the first thing on the list. So major improvement already. I was really happy to see that. I was trying to trick it, and I failed.
So the business will show us all the new businesses too, right?
Any other questions?
I got one. You did a really good job answering all these questions, but hope you don't go to jail if you answer this one. GW.
Sir.
What does that stand for?
It's not a secret. George William, named after my dad. My mom and dad did not want to call me George, and they didn't want to call me Junior, so they named me the second. But if you're the second, you're supposed to be named after your grandfather or your uncle, and not your dad. So they totally screwed it up anyway. So anyway, they just started calling me GW when I was 2. That's all I've ever known. Funny story, I got a job at General Dynamics on the west side of town right out of college. My boss called me George for 3 months and got mad at me because I was ignoring him. If I was walking down the hall and he wasn't looking me in the eye talking to me, I was like, George, George. I kept on going. Anyway, so we finally, I said, look, don't call me George because I'm not going to answer you. So anyway, so there you have it. That's the story. You can imagine when I was young that GW also stood for a million other things that, bullies pick on you for this and that and the other. So, yeah, I have scars. There you have it. That was a tough one. At least it wasn't about water meters. Thank you, sir.
No, but I am going to clarify something about water meters.
Okay, all right, good.
So I want to be very clear. Every single water meter has a shutoff. It's just where is that shutoff? The city has the ability on the city side of the water meter to shut off any and every water meter. What may or may not be there is a shut-off valve on the residential side. And so that's just the part that as the water meters come in, we'll have to look at them on an individual basis. But every water meter can be shut off. Only during the working hours? No, if there's...
You can go out there and shut it off anytime you want.
Yeah, anytime there's a water issue, our staff will respond. Call non-emergency dispatch.
Well, but that's no. You can shut it off anytime you want. If it's got a lock on it, you're not turning it back on. Totally.
But I do want to, in closing, thank everybody for coming. I hope you found this evening informative. I hope you walked away with things that you weren't aware of. If you have questions, we are always available to answer your questions. My staff and myself, we're just an email or phone call away. Always happy to meet with you in person to look at an issue or talk about your ideas for the city, as well as our council members. And the council was so complimentary of our staff, and so I do want to take just a brief moment, if you'll bear with me, to introduce you to our leadership team. For those of you who may not know them, they are all here in attendance tonight. So I'll just start over here. This is Jennifer Hilburn. She is our special projects coordinator, so she kind of assists with any special project in the city or any special initiative that we might have. And there's a lot of them that we saw this evening, so Jennifer's fingerprints will probably be on many of them. Next is our police chief, Kimberly Sylvester. Next to her is our library director, Chantel Hancock. Then we have our neighborhood services director, Public Works Director, Scott Mitchell. He is retiring in January, so we're just, yes, congratulations to him after many, many years of valiant public service.
So while he's still here, ask him about water meters.
Then we have our city secretary, Lindsay Wells, our fire chief, Russell Shelley. We have Logan Thatcher, who's been carrying the microphone around. He is the assistant to the city manager over development services. So planning, zoning, economic development, code compliance, he's your guy. Hardest working man in the city. Hardest working man in the city. And then we have Sheeta McAkron. She is the assistant to the city manager over support services. So she oversees IT, communications. She's also a police officer. She did the Citizens Police Academy, so she wears many different hats. And in the back, we also have two of our best public servants. We have our captain, Scott Russell, and we have our newly appointed lieutenant, Ronnie Miller. So thank them for joining us as well. I know the presentation's gone a little long. We did have booths and tables outside if you wanted to talk to any of our department directors or staff members, if you wanted to pick up something at one of the tables. I also think that Jewel was going to continue serving till 9. Oh no, she's not serving. Captain said no, she's not serving. So Jewel is not here anymore. That's done. But thank you again for coming out, and please please don't hesitate to ever reach out to myself or my team or the council members. We're here to serve this community. We're honored to serve this community. And it's been a pleasure to see you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.